All right. So this workshop today is on phone skills. So I have this broken up into six different parts, which is what to do before the phone jam, the introduction of the actual phone approach, the body of the phone approach, urgency, firm up, and how to handle some objections. So to start with, before the jam actually starts, there's really four keys to set up your station and set up yourself before you start doing your phone calls. Number one is you got to create a schedule instead of goal before you sit down and make phone calls. So you want to create a schedule and a goal. You want to map out with all the little dollar signs. I usually like to do an hour and 45 minutes apart. So you cross off all the obligations you have first. Then you're going to put in your little dollar signs of how many appointments you could do around that, which would be an hour and 45 apart. And then pick a goal based upon whatever you have. You could do a daily goal, you could do a weekly goal, or you could do how many of those appointments you're going to book up in this one sit. So you want to have a goal, something for you to shoot for. Sometimes when I was new, I would set a goal of like, I'm going to book up 5 appointments no matter what, or I'm going to make 50 phone calls in order to book up blank number of appointments. But you set a goal before you start. Number two, make a target list. So make a target list of all the people that you're going to sit down and call before you start calling. So you want to start off with the easiest ones you could book up first to get momentum. So I always like initials, like any initials you can get. Go back to your mom, go back to your grandma, go back to your aunt. Before you sit down to call anyone, call your easiest people first, which are always going to be your initial list, any reschedules, and any cancellations. Those are going to be the easiest ones. You call them first to build momentum. Now, you do want to avoid this trap where you're constantly rescheduling the same people over and over again. So it's like you have someone reschedule on you once, and then you put them on your callback list, you call them again, you book them up, and then they reschedule again, they reschedule a third time, a fourth time, and you're constantly playing this game where you're chasing after someone. If you've ever been guilty of like having this person reschedule constantly where you feel good that you're booking them up for a demo, but then you feel bad that they constantly reschedule. Here's a phrase they always like to use. Miss Jones, thank you so much for agreeing to help me out. I will 100% reschedule the appointment. But please know that if for some reason you can't make this appointment happen, I will not be able to get paid or credit for this appointment spot. So are you 100% sure this time works for you? Are you 100% sure this time works for you? And if they're like, sweetie, not really 100%, it's like, listen, if you tell me to call you back again, I will, but I really don't want to be a bothersome nuisance or like a bothersome college kid or a nuisance. Like, that's not what I'm looking to do. I'm just working really hard towards my goals. So if you tell me to call you back, I will, but I really don't want to be bothersome. Is there any way we could definitely find a time that will 100% work for you right now? So like, just don't get caught in the trap of the reschedules over and over and over again. But it's important to reschedule them, but just don't get caught in that trap. Number 3 for your jam is when you set up your station, you want to set up your queue. So right now we're using queue as far as the app to organize your list. We're loving it. Now, I don't know what's, by the time people are watching this, I don't know what we'll be using at that point, but right now you set up your queue with all of the people that you're excited to call in that one sit. Or you could go old school and just write them on a spreadsheet, on a sheet of paper, or you could do an Excel spreadsheet, but have your list organized from people you're most excited to call all the way down. And lastly, number 4, before you start making phone calls, is make sure you have your phone approach in front of you with your objections and your firm up printed out or right in front of you so you have access to them. Now, I've been doing this 15 years and I still use my scripts just to have them in front of me just in case. So always have your approaches in front of you just in case. So that's how you set up yourself before you start making phone calls. Now, the actual approach itself, I broke it down into 4 components: the introduction, the body, urgency, and firm up. The introduction, I have 4 keys on the introduction. Number 1, sound like someone they were expecting a call from. So what I mean by that is when they answer the phone, you don't sound like a stranger. You don't sound like a bill collector. Don't sound like a telemarketer. Sound like someone they were expecting a call from. So it would be like, ring, ring. Hey, Jane, this is Mike. How are you? Versus, hi, is this Mrs. Jones? Well, first and foremost, you're probably calling their cell phone. So anybody that calls my cell phone says, hi, is this Mr. Mike Abramowitz? I'm like, well, how did you get my number? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, who are you? If they say, hey, Mike, this is Jessica. How are you? I'm like, who the hell's Jessica? I almost feel bad that I don't know who Jessica is. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to know who this is. I'm supposed to, I have, like, when I have applicants call me and be like, hey, Mike, this is so-and-so. How are you? I'm like, oh shit, I'm supposed to know who you are. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? And while I'm saying I'm good, how are you? I'm really thinking in my mind, who the heck is this person? So once you sound like someone that they're expecting a call from, you almost like let them off the hook by establishing a connection of how they're supposed to know you. You want the customer to say this to themselves. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I know of you. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I know of you. That's what you want them to say to themselves. So it sounds something along the lines of, hey, Jess, this is Mike Abramowitz. How are you? Good. Who's this? Yeah, I'm friends with Jackie Smith. Did she tell you I was going to call? Or I'm actually really good friends with your daughter, Jackie. We actually played on the same softball team together. How are you? Or you actually go to the same blank yoga class with my mom over at blank. How are you? So that way they're saying, oh yes, 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 I know of you. Number 3 key to the introduction is using the word favor. The word favor creates openness, where it's like, I know it's kind of random. I just have a favor to ask you. I know it's kind of random, but I have a favor to ask you. So it creates a level of openness. And then number 4 is you invite connection with some sort of personal story and goal. And that would sound something like, I actually am a student over at blank school. I'm studying blank, or like I'm a student over at USF studying engineering. So go Bulls, right? And right now I'm working with a company that's helping me like pay for college and save money for school. They even have a scholarship program I'm really excited about. So you want to create some level of connection with a personal story or goal. If you're not in school, be like, you know, it would sound something like, I'm a student. Let me think, for a non-student, like, yeah, I was over at Jackie Smith's house. She said you were like one of her nicest friends, and I promised her that I would call you and introduce myself, tell you a little bit about what I'm working towards. You see, I'm working part-time over at the bank, but I know Sally through so-and-so friend, and she said you were like the nicest woman in the neighborhood, so she wanted me to, introduce myself and connect with you. Something like that. Just establish some sort of connection with that customer. So the 4 keys to the introduction: sound like someone they're expecting a call from, establish a connection so they're like, oh yeah, okay, I know of you. Use the word favor. I know it's kind of random, but I have a favor to ask you. And then invite connection with some sort of personal story, some sort of goal. So those are the 4 keys to the introduction. The 4 keys to the body of the approach. So as far as the body, never use the word selling. Never use the word selling. It's always showing. So it's like, I'm showing Cutco products, or I'm showing a product to people I'm introduced to. So never use the word selling. Number 2, always say quick appointment. Or you could always say quick scholarship appointment. So especially for students. So it's like, I'm just doing a quick scholarship appointment. That's what you're asking for. So sometimes you get to the end of the approach, you're like, what do you actually need? It's like, I just need to do a quick scholarship appointment with you. Number 3 on the body is lots of fun. You want to say lots of fun. So you want to make it feel fun. You want to make it sound fun. You want to say the words lots of fun. So it's saying, I'm doing this quick appointment. It's a quick scholarship appointment. I'm just showing you a cool product line. It is a lot of fun. I love this line. It won't take too much time, something like that. And number 4 on the body is your friend thought you'd be nice enough. Your friend thought you'd be nice enough. So always use that third person of like, my mom thought you'd be nice enough to help me out. Miss Jackie was doing me a huge favor by having me over, and she thought you'd be nice enough to do the same. really, those are the four key components of the body. Showing, not selling. It's a quick appointment. It's a lot of fun. And your friend thought you'd be nice enough to help me out with the appointment. My mom thought you'd be nice enough to help me out. So the next key is urgency. Now I have like an arsenal of urgency phrases, but the purpose of urgency is to get them to book the appointment now. Remember those reschedules I talked about in the beginning? It's like annoying to chase after people. So if you can nail the urgency part of your phone approach, you're going to avoid all the I don't know, all the time waster of calling these people back and trying to reschedule them. So here's a couple of good phrases for urgency. I normally wouldn't ask this. I normally wouldn't ask this. I like this one. I wouldn't be able to stay long at all. Like, I wouldn't be able to stay long at all because I'm going appointment to appointment. I'm working, at this other job. I have full-time college classes, so I wouldn't stay long. I normally wouldn't ask this. I love this one. Really quick. I'll be really quick. Could you squeeze me in? I love that one too. Could you squeeze me in? So a couple of the phrases. I normally wouldn't ask this. I wouldn't be able to stay long. It'll be really quick. Could you squeeze me in? I used to use this one all the time. It would mean the world to me. And you could use a lot of these together. It would mean the world to me if you could squeeze me in really quick. I like these last two. Is I'm only 2 away from my goal, and your one appointment would make the difference. I'm only 2 away from my goal. And I used to make it into a joke. I'm only 2 away from my goal, and if I could hit that tonight, then if I hit that right now, I can go home and spend the rest of the night doing homework and studying for my exam tomorrow. But I can't do that until I hit my goal. Or if I'm only 2 away from my goal, as soon as I hit that, I could enjoy dinner with my family. Is there any way you could get that extra appointment for me? I used to use that and almost like a little guilt trip. Be like, all right, fine, I'll book it now. I'll set it up with you so you can go enjoy dinner with your family, or you could get back to your homework or something like that. And I used to make it into a little cute little joke sometimes. Like, I'm only 2 away from my goal, and I need to get my goal hit so that way I could have enough money to pay for my hamster food. I have a little hamster named Fluffy, and I have to buy his food this week. So is there any way you could get me those 2 appointments in honor of Fluffy? And they just start like giggling. It's like, are you serious? Anytime you can make them laugh, I think is important, but urgency is the most important. And giving a deadline with 2 times is the most important part of the urgency. It's like, I need these appointments by this deadline. By this deadline. I always like the midweek and the end of week. So it's like, I need this appointment by Wednesday, so it's midweek. I need these appointments by Sunday, so it's end of week. Deadline, and always offer 2 times. Always offer 2 times. So it's a yes or yes question. I have this deadline. I have to do 2 more. I'm 2 away from my goal, which ends on Wednesday. It would mean the world to me if you could squeeze me in on Tuesday or on a Thursday at 2, or if the deadline's Wednesday, on Tuesday at 4, or would Tuesday at 6 be better for you? It would really help me out a ton. So under the umbrella of urgency, I normally wouldn't ask this. I wouldn't be able to stay long. It would be really quick. Could you squeeze me in? It would mean the world to me. I'm only 2 away from my goal. I need blank appointments before deadline, and always offer 2 different options 2 times. So it's a yes or yes question. Now, the firm up. I think the firm up is one of the most overlooked parts of the phone approach, because most times representatives are so excited to book up the appointment that they don't spend that much time on the firm up. Just like with doing the actual demo, most representatives are so excited they made the sale that they only get a few recommendations. They don't qualify those recommendations, and then it messes them up with phone time later. So you really want to be patient with your phone approach. Don't rush them off the phone, because the firm up is not only what makes sure the appointment sticks. The firm up is where the appointment begins. So your appointment begins when the firm up ends. So it's important to keep that in mind. So the 4 simple keys of the firm up is, number 1 is thank them. Number 2 is make sure they wrote it down. Number 3 is to reconfirm to make sure it's set in stone. And number 4, think again. So thank them, write it down, reconfirm, think again. Those are the 4 fundamentals of firm up. But I'm going to give you a little bit of extra sauce real quick. So when you say thank them, I'm talking you want to thank them like they just gave you the winning lottery ticket. Like, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this helps me out towards my goals. Do you have a pen? Boom. Can you write down a confirmation number along with some really important information? I know some people use a discount code. That's totally cool. You could use a discount code. You could use a confirmation number. But the key is to make sure they write it down so they don't forget. Can you write down my confirmation number is 3209, and that also doubles as a discount code just in case you see anything you do like, because again, that's where the appointment begins. It creates the open mind that they could get something if they wanted to. So thank them, write it down. Now, the reconfirm, I've seen this done so many different ways, and you could do this so many different ways as well. You could do the reconfirm with a story. You could do the reconfirm with a joke. You could do the reconfirm with, I'll show you those two just so you have an idea of what that looks like. So it's like, and Miss Jones, I'm so sorry to have you go through all that trouble of like going to get a pen and write it down. It's just by the way, is it really that much trouble? It's not that much trouble. But you make it seem like you really appreciate this. Like you have no idea how important this is. It's like, Miss Jones, I'm so sorry to have you go through all that trouble, like grabbing a pen and writing this down. It's just the other day, I had an appointment all the way out in California. I stayed up till midnight, so it was 9 p.m. their time, just so that way I could do the appointment. And when I got to my computer to do the appointment and turn it on, she didn't even answer. And I was devastated because I needed that one extra appointment to hit my scholarship goal for the day. So I know you wouldn't do that. Like I know you wouldn't forget or anything. I just want to make it as easy as possible for people to remember that I'm going to be coming over for the appointment. So I can't thank you enough how much this appointment means to me. It might not mean that much to you, but it means the world to me. So are you sure that this time works for you? So the story reconfirms. Then you could, or you could just reconfirm with a joke. You could reconfirm with a joke. Ms. Jones, thank you so much for this appointment. You wrote it down. And Ms. Jones, most people put like a penny in their refrigerator. Can you put a penny in your refrigerator for me? I'm going to do a magic trick with it when I come over. Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm going to make a glass of water disappear as well. It's really, really cool. So, and just draw a big smiley face, on your sheet of paper. So that way, you know what I look like when I come to the door. I've heard people do funny jokes on that one. Yeah, draw like a picture of a smiley face, draw like a mohawk and like this really muscular hot body. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Miss Jones. I don't have a mohawk, but I do want you to recognize me when I come over. So something like that, you could do, Ms. Jones, it sounds pretty easy to get to your house, but just in case, do you have like a bush or a mailbox you could light on fire? And that way I'll just follow the fire department to your house and make it really easy for me to get there. I'm just kidding. It sounds really easy to get to your house. But the whole point of the joke is, again, to reconfirm. They're like, I can't wait to meet this person. I can't wait to meet this person. That's what you want them to say on the reconfirm. And then the thank again. Thank you so much, Miss Jones. You have no idea how much this means to me and how much this helps me out. Real simple stuff. Thank them, write it down, reconfirm, and thank again. Always thank them. A little bonus note on the reconfirm and the thank again is just saying, and by the way, Miss Jones, if you do see some things that you like, I know Miss Jane, who recommended me to you, said she really likes some stuff. Would you want your husband there? Just in case you see some things you like. 9 out of 10 times, she's gonna be like, "Oh, it's kitchen stuff." No, he doesn't even know where the kitchen is. And sometimes they're gonna be like, "Well, sometimes, yeah, I usually like him there." It's like, cool. Can you make sure he's there too, just so that way, if he does have an opinion, like he at least gets a chance to see everything. But that handles that concern right from the beginning. I also love on the reconfirm is, what's your favorite fruit or vegetable? What's your favorite fruit or vegetable? If I can't get that, I'll bring the next best thing. And if I was like running late or I forgot, I would brought out the piece of rope and be like, I couldn't find pineapple, but I found the next best thing. And I pull out a piece of rope. I say, my mom actually told me you were on a high fiber diet anyway. And it's like, ha, 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 fibrous piece of rope. But anyway, so it's the firm up. Think them, write it down, reconfirm, think again. And my last content for you, and then I'll open up for any comments or questions, is objections. Okay, whenever they ask you give you an objection, or really, it's not even an objection; it's more of a question. The only objection you might get is like, "Oh, that's a conflict. That time doesn't work." Most of the time, it's really just a question. If they say that time doesn't work, they're saying, "Can you give me another time that does work?" An objection is always a question. If they say, "How long does it take?" They're like, I need to make sure I have enough time in my schedule to accommodate this appointment. It's like, how long does it take? Or it's like, what's the product? They don't really care about the product. They just want to know that they're not going to be bored. That's really what it comes down to. Are they going to be disinterested in this presentation with this kid? So they don't really care about the product. They just want to know, like, am I going to be engaged? Is this going to be interesting? Is this going to be fun? If they're like, oh, I'm really not interested. I'm really not interested. That might be it. What they're really saying is it's a question. Why should I spend my time doing this? I really have no interest in any of this. Why should I spend my time doing this? So the easiest way to help a customer with any objection, no matter what they give you or any question they ask, is to tell a joke. Essentially sound likable. So if they say, oh, I'm really not interested, it's like, Ms. Jones, I'm not interested either. I'm just trying to make money for college and save money for school. You probably remember what that was like, right? When you were young? Exactly. Like last year, 2 years ago when you were in college, right, Ms. Jones? Like you can make it funny. You can make it cute. If they say, oh, what's the product? They're like, oh my God, Ms. Jones, it's Florida's last igloo. Yeah, it's crazy. I have to get rid of it before the weekend. Otherwise my boss is going to fire me. They say, what's the product? Oh, it's brushes for camels. My mom said you got a new camel. No, I'm just kidding. What's the product? Oh, it's pink elephants. I only have 2 left, and I have to get rid of them before the weekend. I'm kidding. It's baby alligators. Like, you could say whatever the heck you want. It has nothing to do about the product. It has to do with the joke. So you just say something that catches them so off guard. I've heard people say underwater toasters, just in case you get hungry while you're swimming. I've heard Nikes for mice, just in case, you need them. They're there for you. Then you could do intelligent jokes like solar powered flashlights, like you can say whatever you want, but you tell the joke about the product. They say, how long does it take? How long does it take, Miss Jones? Well, I could do the short version or the long version. Which would you rather have? The short version? Oh, the short version, you just give me your credit card number over the phone. I'll pick you out something real nice. I'm just kidding, Miss Jones. Short version, I'll be in and out before you know it. It'd be less than an hour. Do you want the long version or the short version? Well, how long is the long version? Well, I come over, I spend about 4 or 5 days with you. I'll do your house chores, whatever, bring a sleeping bag just in case, but I need a new toothbrush. Do you have an extra toothbrush? You could say, Miss Jones, they say, how long does it take? It's like 4 or 5 hours. I'm just kidding. It's just like an hour or so, but I'll be in and out before you know it. I'll be the highlight of your day. Anytime they ask you, they tell you an objection. So how long does it take? Or, oh, I'm really busy, or that time doesn't work for me. It's like, oh, no, totally understand, Miss Jones. I'm really busy too. I'm so busy with scholarships and everything I'm working towards. Totally understand. If they say like, oh, we're going out of town, it's like, tell a joke. It's like, oh, awesome. Where are you guys going? Jamaica? Oh, forget about the appointment then. Thank you so much for inviting me to Jamaica with you and your family. We haven't even met yet. Did you want me to meet you at the airport? Do you need my address to send me my confirmation flight? I'm just kidding, Miss Jones. That's awesome. When do you get back? Okay, cool. Well, I'll still be working towards my contest, of course. So why don't we offer, and then offer 2 other times for after they get back from the trip. If they say, oh, sweetie, we have an anniversary dinner that night. Oh my God, that's so nice of you to invite me to dinner. We haven't even met yet. Where's the dinner going to be? I'm just kidding. And they always catch us off guard. It's so funny. I'm just kidding, Miss Jones. But and here's a great phrase. Once they say, oh, no, sweetie. It's like, Miss Jones, thank you so much for agreeing to help me out with this appointment. Your friend said you were nice, but she didn't say you were this nice. So let's find a different time that could work for you. So after you get them laughing, after you get them to tell the joke, the transition into getting them to book up the appointment is just as important as landing the joke. So it's like after you land the joke, you get them laughing, you transition with confidence saying, Miss Jones, my mom said you were nice, but she didn't say you were this nice. Thank you so much for agreeing to help me out with my appointment. Let's find a different time that could work for you. What time, or do you think time would be better for you? So anytime you're handling any of those concerns, handle the concern or the question, and then boom, weave right back into would time work better for you? And you ask again with confidence, and a great transitional phrase there is, my mom said you were nice. She didn't say you were this nice. Thanks so much for agreeing to help me out with my appointment. So as far as my phone skills workshop, there's a couple prep things that you can do before you start making calls. And then there's the introduction, body, urgency, firm up of your approach. And then there's a couple of keys to handling objections. So any light bulbs? So Jess or Audrey?
Yeah, I would say at the beginning, the part of sounding like someone that they were expecting a call from, I found myself always asking, hey, is this blah, blah, blah? And they're like, yeah. It just created that separation right at the beginning of the phone call, and then it would have to take so much extra effort to try to bridge that gap when I could just be like, hey, Miss Jones, this is Jessica. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, sound like something, and you're already putting them on like curiosity of like, how do I know you versus who is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different gap there. Excellent. Audrey, what were you gonna say?
For me, I just love the joke aspects for everything, because I think it kind of brings down their guard, and once you get them laughing, that's a good sign.
Yeah, the more fun they're having on the phone. Here's what you have to think about: if a customer's saying, I'm not enjoying this 5-minute phone conversation, they're not going to want to spend another hour with you.
Yeah, exactly.
If they say, wow, I'm really enjoying this 5-minute phone conversation, I'd like to spend another hour with this person. Like, that's really what the phone comes down to if you really think about it in a simplistic form. Excellent.